Is it fast or slow? It depends on where you're at. I suppose if you're really in the thick of it, we can talk about the date is fast approaching. We're talking about Saturday, the 11th of March, the governorship elections. And, well, our guest today is Senator Grace Folashade Bent. She's actually the first female senator elected from northern Nigeria. A fine morning to you, Senator.
Good morning. Nice having me here today. Good morning.
Yes, indeed. It's not too late for that. Well, first of all, this is the first time, at least your meeting with our program after the electoral victory of APC. So I guess congratulations are in order.
Thank you. It's very resounding congratulations to the APC family and the teaming supporters of the APC all over Nigeria and in the diaspora. It's a new dawn for us in Nigeria, and we look forward to a very robust and vibrant tenure for the president-elect after being inaugurated on the 29th of May 2023. We're anxiously looking forward to that by the grace of God.
Indeed. But now that you say that, as you're aware, the other contestants in the presidential race are, well, in particular, former Vice President Atiku Abubakar and former Anambra Governor Peter Obi, candidates of PDP and Labour Party, respectively. As you know, they have approached, well, their lawyers have said they will be approaching the Supreme Court. And then we saw a news item this morning that 50 lawyers or so are actually sitting down, legs crossed, so to speak, waiting for whatever is coming from there so that they can deal with it. Give me your thoughts about that, because there has been talk about the congratulations haven't come from co-competitors yet. Not all of them, at least. You know, I'm going to guess that it's a network issue, and therefore, Senator Grace Folashade Bent, the first female elected from northern Nigeria, who is our guest this morning, had just started off, and then the internet came in on it. As you know, this whole internet matter, it has the nickname of network here. Sometimes you want to pay your power bill, they will tell you, because the network. And there must be the same, there must be that same, you know, there must be a variation of that in all the languages, because the network, meaning there's a network failing. Network, of course, being the internet. I guess that's what's happened. But as soon as we can get her back, we want to look at matters arising from the 2023 presidential election. And I was just saying to her, she's not here anymore. And maybe pending when she comes, we can talk with each other. So we can actually, Senator, you're back. Can you hear me?
Yeah. Yes,
okay.
I can. Yeah.
Oh, okay. I don't know if you heard the question just before the network dropped.
Yes,
but
I did.
Oh, okay. Please go ahead now with your comments.
Yeah. Yes, thank you very much, Mr. Folani. The two other candidates of the People's Democratic Party and the Labour Party have the rights as the Constitution of Nigeria stipulates that it's within their fundamental, Umar Abubakar and Mr. Peter Obi, to have just taken and accepted this outcome of the election in good faith economy. And we were still struggling with the issue of the fuel scarcity. Monies are not available. You cannot even, it takes the grace of God for you to travel to your constituency, to your state, to go and be part of the election. So all these issues were staring into our faces, and then we went to this election, and of course, it's natural. And having been a politician, I've won elections and I've lost as a very a grassroots politician. And I have had on one or two occasions to have approached the law courts and to seek for redress. Let's insist on going to the court. Why not? I mean, let them do it, and let us do this with all form of decorum. But when we begin to throw decorum into the wind and begin to... And to me, from my experience, defeat is an opportunity for me to find out what went wrong with my elections and what can I do to improve whatever it is and work on the subsequent ones.
Okay.
I think that's one lesson I learned from my experience in participating in elective office.
All right,
Yes.
then.
So
Senate, sure.
So it's right. Yes. Yeah.
Continue,
you can go
please.
ahead
I'm
with
sorry.
the next question.
Okay, I was going to say, yeah,
Yes,
thank
so
you for those. Now, I'm going to wait. I want you to finish.
Yes, you can go on. Go on. I'm fine. I'm fine. I will add other issues when you ask me the subsequent questions. You can go ahead.
Oh, okay. Okay. Now, I've heard that as a sort of a general overview. As you know, we're going into another election. You know, this is the final phase for 2023. We've done the first phase, the presidential and the National Assembly. Now we're going into the governorship and houses of assembly. So I wanted to ask you, we've been hearing all sorts. First of all, people are taking, okay, let me put it this way. If one were to look at the patterns of the presidential elections, in those states, you know, where the governorships are now up in the contest, people have been saying that the results of the presidential give us some sort of an indication as to how the governorship elections might go. Others are saying that it's a totally different ball game, and you can't even look at the presidential really to come and begin to try and determine how the governorship will go. I wonder what your impression is. What side of that particular conversation are you on?
Yes, thank you. Thank you very much once again. In politics, it's always not too comfortable for me to take a very definite stand on what subsequent elections will, outcome of the subsequent elections will be like. If you want to judge the forthcoming governorship election against what we had during the presidential election, I think it will be, you may fall into some kind of error because it's too dicey now for you to, it does not really, most of the time, it doesn't follow, you know, whether the presidential was won by a particular political party, and you see such trends, you know, moving into these governorship elections. Sometimes it doesn't usually work that way. If you recall what happened during the last presidential election, the traditional voting pattern of the APC was a bit scuttled. You could see places like Yobe State, Katsina, Kaduna, and so on and so forth. Those were either to the stronghold of the APC. But you saw what happened there. So election this year is a bit, I wouldn't say very dicey. It will be very difficult for you to say this is what is expected. But having said that, I think because of the level of consciousness and awareness, political reorientation of our electorates now, second-term governors, for example, might have to, brace up for some shockers, depending on how well they were able to perform in the last 4 years, which is rounding up. People now are beginning to understand, the electorates are beginning to understand their rights and expectations, as it were. So, like I've always said, when we put so much emphasis on the presidential election, at the detriment of our local government elections, our councillorship elections, and state elections, because real politics starts at the local level. So, when development is not, very, very solid at the local level, then we have problems. There seems to be too much attention on the presidency, and that is very worrisome. I would have expected that electorates should be more concerned with who becomes their local government chairman, who becomes their governors, because the president, ab initio, is always at the receiving end, and the people say, oh, is the president, the buck ends on his table? Yes, he sure does. But at the state level, how do you hold your governors accountable? Because they are the chief executive in their various states. So you must understand that perspective. So I expect electorates this time around to know what they are going into. They must understand that they need to look at the pedigree of the candidates of political parties. You need to look at the track record. How, if it's a new person that is coming in, what are the antecedents? What has the person offered you in time past? Because I really not very comfortable when people just wake up from their slumber and just get crashed into wanting to run for elective offices. I mean, it's very worrisome. You should be a grassroots politician. I mean, you don't just come from the top and say you want to run because you have the money. And when we begin to de-emphasize more on money politics, we are going to have a solid democracy, because the bane of our democracy has been the money, the hijackers of our democracy with money. Electorates must take the bulls by the horns and understand that this is about their future, the future of their generations yet unborn. Because whatever anybody would do in the next 4 years is very critical for your future. Yes, government is a continuum. So whoever comes in now and the kind of foundation that person lays for the incoming person is always very critical. So next week election, governorship election, and the State House of Assembly may not take the pattern of the last week election. Every state has its own peculiarity. So I want us to look at it from that point of view.
Indeed.
Every state, politics is local, and most of the politics the results we're expecting next week will be dependent on, the local performance of such candidates who are running for such offices.
Okay. Matters arising from the presidential, and you've taken care of one side of it. Can one really extrapolate the results of the presidential onto the coming election on Saturday? And you've given some caveats there. And I particularly like the point you were making about these other elections. Well, elections generally are local at the end of the day. And take Lagos, for instance. As you know, the ruling party also has the governor in Lagos. And, this is something that naturally they will want to, hold on to. But there seems to be a paradigm difference. Let me not go ahead and say shift yet. You've just spoken about whoever is coming in there has to be showing what it is they are capable of, or what it is that they have done. Coming on board, as it were, without any proof of capability or past performance, might be a downer in terms of. So in Lagos here, when you look at the results of the presidential, which are known, the ruling party was pipped, ever so narrowly, but pipped nevertheless in Lagos. Do you think because, you know, one of the main contenders now would seem to be, we have Labour Party, we have PDP. So among those two, about the point you made about what have you delivered in the past, how do we know you? How do you think that's going to play out in the minds of voters in forming their decisions?
Well, thank you. Like I told you, the scenario of Lagos State, from what I've been able to gather and having studied developments, political developments in Lagos State, for example, I want to bet for the APC returning next week, Saturday, by the grace of God. Governor Sanwo-Olu has performed creditably well. If you want to look at the indices of political, what do you call it, political marks, as it were. How do you make political ratings? How do you rate someone in terms of delivering the dividends of democracy, in terms of human development, in terms of infrastructural development, and so on and so forth? I think Governor Sanwo-Olu has performed. I will, if you want to put him on a scale, I will give him 75–80%, and that is a good pass, for example. So electorates should be gunning for such a candidate. Electorates, if somebody can give you 75–80%, you know, in his first tenure, because this is how, you know, developmental politics works. If a candidate is able to give you 75–80% in his first shot, believe you me, his second shot will be what you call consolidation, and such consolidation will catapult him beyond the 100%. So it is better for you to stick to such candidate than for you to go into the unknown, because that is what is going to happen in Lagos State. So I am giving it.
Okay. Can I thank Mukhtar in Kano? I apologize for keeping you waiting, Mukhtar. Please go ahead now.
Hello. Good morning, Uncle Yori. How are you doing?
Good morning, sir. Thank you very much. Thank you for waiting. Go ahead, please, Mukhtar.
Okay. Thank you very much. Let me congratulate the Senator Folashade for winning her election as a first northern female senator. Yes, I'm speaking to you. You see, let me quote develop the nation. I quote from her. And one thing we should understand is that most of the politicians are serving their own interests, and I can prove that. And Nigeria has never been in this kind of mess until now. Now, let me report to you the Ninth National Assembly. There are so many policies that affect the electorate, but they do not bother to address it. Now, let me tell you one thing. The education, the university, the strike of the arson. Now, that is one. It affects everybody. Now, the policy of Naira redesign, it affects almost everybody. Now, the bandits are still there. It affects almost everybody. Now, the Ninth Assembly are only serving the interests of the president. Whatever comes to them, they will now try to serve the president, not the people. They know the implications and they know the problems, but they don't bother. Now, look at the debt. When he came, how much was the position of the debt? It was meager, but now Nigeria is the highest debt leader in Africa. It is unfortunate. And there are a lot of youths that do not have jobs. And what are we doing about it? But Folashade said the interest of the politicians is to unite the nation. Now look at what is happening. The Igbo president is there to be elected, the Hausa, the Yoruba. Now this is causing disunity to the nation. We should be united as people to develop our nation. But most of them are serving their own interests. So what are they going to tell people? What are they going to tell people? They're only serving their own interests. Thank you very much.
Senator, a phrase of what you said, this whole matter about interest, it brings to mind the tension. He even went as far as saying that, look, we have an Igbo president, we have an Hausa president, we have a Yoruba president to choose from. So he's just raising the scepter of ethnicity. He didn't go to religion, but other commentators have said between ethnicity and religion, this has become an issue, unfortunately. But is it realistic to say that you cut that out altogether, the way people see whoever the candidates are?
Thank you very much. In the history of our democratic experience and experiment, I am a bit jostled and very worried about the development, the current developments in real sense, our democratic survival. I'm very worried. The dimension that our politics is taking, it's not healthy. It's not a healthy dimension for us. We're beginning to dwell so much on ethnicity, on religion, and sometimes on very mundane issues, rather than looking at that bond that brings us together. If you look at the pattern of the last election, so sad, indeed disheartening, that some of the voting patterns took that dimension of ethnicity and religion. And that is, it's not good. It's a no-no for me. What
okay.
Are we
One moment,
for?
Madam Senator. Let me bring in Reverend Dominic. I beg your pardon for interrupting you. Reverend Dominic, calling in from Alimosho. Good morning to you.
Good morning, Chief Yori.
Thank you for calling.
Good morning to the Senator Grace, very articulative woman. This is the kind of women we need in National Assembly. Congratulations, man. Chief Yori, I want to correct an impression because yesterday, since we are talking about presidential elections, the matter arising, I want to answer Brother George, who said what I know and what I do not know yesterday. There's little I know. I want to answer George this, that the non-indigenous dimension in Lagos politics did not start on 25th. The present chairman of APC in Lagos, his deputy in Ojo local government then, present chairman of APC now, Ojolabi, is my senior brother, Honorable Kaitan Osekwe. And he could won that election because of indigenous dimension. Then in Lagos, it was NRC and SDP. And they chose another party, which I will remember now, which is a lesser party. Because of the non-indigenous dimension, Ojolabi, who is the present chairman of APC now, could defeat the NRC candidate and SDP candidate because of non-indigenous dimension. So it didn't start on 25th. This is what George doesn't know. I've been in Lagos politics for too long. Let me tell you what happened in 25th. If there's anything, Igbos went back to Anambra and the Imo to vote because of a big dimension. Igbos did not move from the southeast to come to Lagos. There's an awareness of Igbos to vote at this time, in quotes, if you can understand me, because of the Igbo man president, Obi. They wake up. So the dimension of Igbos in Lagos did not start yesterday. And nobody should trivialize it. One thing I rejoice today because my own candidate, Bola Ahmed Tinubu, was the president-elect. He is not a nepotism. He brought Igbos more in Lagos in governance than any other man. And I believe when he go to the center, he will do it better. So this nepotism should take away from here. Igbos have become Lagos. Lagos have become Igbos.
Okay.
As soon as they just were. So I've been part of it. So, Brother George, don't bring nepotism into Lagos politics. I know better than you do. Thank you.
All right, then. Well, thank you for calling in, Reverend Dominic.